Good morning and welcome to Tech Team Tuesday, live at 11. Today I have a very special guest, but before I get to my special guest, I want to say our code for the month is Lindstrom1. Lindstrom1 will get you 10% off all Lindstrom products, and we have some Lindstrom products right here in front. We've got some cutters and pliers, and I have some of these in my personal bench at home, but they've been abducted by my daughter. She loves them. So if you guys out there in jewelry world are interested in getting some of the best cutters and pliers, Lindstrom is the way to go. We are here to answer all your questions, any and all questions that you have tech related. That's why we're here. I encourage you all to get your questions in. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to Mark Nelson. Many of you know Mark Nelson because for many years, Mark was and still is the face of Rio Grande. I've been all over the United States, and when people find out I'm from Rio Grande, the first question they ask me is, "Where's Mark?
He's at work."
How's Mark? Is Mark coming?
Right.
When will Mark be here? When I first came to work here, I threatened to get T-shirts made that said, "I know Mark Nelson."
You should have, man. You should have.
I still think that is something we need to do. Is get the old Mark Nelson T-shirts. But Mark used to be on the tech team.
Yes, I did.
He's one of the OGs. But now, tell us exactly what your job is. What do you do now? Because what you do now has a great, big, huge impact on the future of the jewelry world, I think.
Okay, so I'm the education coordinator for Rio Grande, and how that started was before COVID. We'd have classes here at Rio,
Right.
and I coordinated all that. I put together the schedule. I got the instructors. I worked with the students and everything. When COVID hit, I basically sat at my computer all day processing orders, and I do a lot of that still. But my focus is kind of running the Rio for Schools program and making sure that works, and getting together with schools and coordinating with them and helping them.
So you're uniquely qualified to be involved in education because you're a professor as well as working
Yeah.
here at Rio Grande. You teach jewelry at one of the local institutions. Do you want to say who that is?
Yeah, no, I teach.
You're liable to end up with a waiting list of people that want to take your
That's
classes.
okay. It's a night class, so there's lots of time. I do a night class at CNM, which is Central New Mexico College. It's a
Right.
community college, and I have a really great program. And I teach the intro class, which is like Metals 1. It's a night class because I'm at work here at Rio during the day. So
Right.
And you teach too, right?
I do. I teach at the Institute of American Indian Arts at night. But I don't teach jewelry. I teach sculpture fundamentals.
That's even funner.
So, well, I don't know. It's all good though.
Yeah.
I love it. I like the energy of teaching.
I
and
love it. I love it.
being surrounded by people that are eager to learn. So once again, get your questions in because we'd be happy to answer them. But I want you to give me a little bit of your background. How did you come into the jewelry field? What got you here?
Kind of funny story. I was getting my undergraduate degree at Northern Arizona. I was an illustration major. I wanted to be a high school art teacher.
Okay.
Right? And part of my scholarship was I was a lab tech. So I ran the jewelry studio.
Right.
And just had to take class after class. And eventually I changed my major. Went on to Texas Tech to get my master's degree.
Right.
And then immediately hit the bench because I had to start paying that student loan. You know?
Yeah.
And working it's a great combination because school will teach you how to solve weird problems.
Yeah.
And that really, really helped on the tech team, and then having that experience on the bench really narrows your focus and masters your skills. So,
And school gives you interact with people from such diverse backgrounds.
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I like about teaching is I never know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
That makes it so fun.
The fun part for me is having a very diverse class because I immediately start gauging, where people are going to go, and I have to stay on my toes to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And I have to pivot and change on the fly.
And that really dovetails into things that have been done here at Rio Grande. I know when Molly Bell was here,
Yeah.
she was really influential in having us involved in correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Toolbox Initiative
Yes, with Tim
where we
McCreight.
collected and sent tools to jewelers in Africa
Yeah.
and everything. And there's been a number of different things like that. But most recently, and this is what I want you to get into.
All right.
This is what I've been chomping at the bit for.
Okay.
So I'm going to remind you. You guys get your questions in on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, however you want to ask your questions. But right now what I want to get into is I want to ask Mark to tell us about Jacob Morgan.
Okay.
He's a Navajo jeweler from here locally in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Grew up in Crown Point, New Mexico. But he traveled across the world to share his knowledge.
Literally.
So it's all you.
Okay,
Tell us about it. I'm excited.
I'm getting goosebumps already. So it's a really long story. We are definitely going to do a podcast, bring everybody together and talk about this event. Basically, we sponsored sending Jacob Morgan to Bhutan to teach them how to make stamps and do stamping. And let me back up the story just a little bit. So years ago, a jeweler named Michael McRae contacted me, and he says, "Mark, I'm going to go teach a class in Bhutan." And so my very first thing to do is like, how do you spell Bhutan?
Well,
and where is it?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Where is it exactly?
It is a tiny little country nestled between India and China in a valley, almost like literally a valley.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And that country has a program. I think it's called Desang Skills Trade. Mm-hmm. And the government is putting together, it's like skills school. So they have welding, carpentry, culinary, and all kinds of other trades. And jewelry is part of that, right? And Michael's job was to go teach the jewelry part. And so we got him set up. He went the first time. The second time, he came back with one of his students, Searing.
Okay.
And Searing spent like 6 months in the country. And he came here to Rio, and they told us the story. And at that time, I'm like, here's a country of people trying to find their design aesthetic and language in jewelry making.
Right.
They didn't really know how to make a lot of jewelry, right?
So where was their jewelry coming from previously?
Mostly like China and India.
Okay.
So
it was all imported. There was nothing really being done internally.
As far as I know.
Okay.
When we bring the guys together, we're going to get a much better story. But it's just that idea implanted itself in my head. There's indigenous people seeking to find their voice in jewelry making.
Right.
Right. And then it just sat with me for a while. And then in the middle of the freaking night, I got it. I woke up. I couldn't sleep. I said, we have to send one of our indigenous people to that country to help them find their language. Who better to do that than a Navajo?
Right.
Because you guys have been through it all.
Yeah.
And the people in Bhutan have nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't send them anything because they're just logistically hard to ship to, right? And everything's really expensive to get there. And so I said, this person has to know how to work with nothing, right?
Yeah.
And you remember that book, Art of Stamping by Matthew
I
Shimmy?
do.
Yeah. I got a copy of that. And I remember all the artists that came here for that book signing.
Yeah.
You were here for that. And Jacob was there, and he presented his story. And I'm goosebumping. God dang. So I went through that book, and I'm lazy, right? So I'm like, Jacob lives in Rio Rancho. It's like 20 minutes away. That would be so neat, you know?
Right.
So I contacted Matthew Shimony, and I said, Matthew, here's the idea. What do you think about sending Jacob? He goes, he'd be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Matthew was a little upset that I didn't invite him to go. So I saw Jacob at the Indian market. I went by his booth, and I got to meet him and his lovely wife.
You're talking about Santa Fe Indian Market.
Yeah,
that's every year in August.
Yeah, and he had another blue ribbon on his table, you know. And I had a great conversation with him, and I said, Jacob, I got an idea. I don't want to propose it now, but I want to talk to you. And I called him up, and I said, how would you like to go to Bhutan and teach them how to make stamps and stamping? He goes, I'd love to. And I went through the circuit here, got approval. Yeah. And Jacob just came back. I hope he's watching the live now, and he'll make a comment. And it's just sending an indigenous person from New Mexico to Bhutan to teach them how to find their voice and language in jewelry making.
I want to
So,
mention something real quick that's a highlight here for anybody who's listening to this. We sell the book that Mark is
yeah,
referencing.
highly
That
recommend
was
it.
the hinge point that this
Yeah,
all revolved around, because that book was what connected all the players involved.
yeah,
And so, if anybody wants that book, we sell it. You can find it on our website. We'll put a link in someplace so that you can find it, and that's there. I and I also want to point out that Rio Grande now has been in existence for 80 years. And a lot of people don't know this, but Rio Grande literally started in the back of a trading post on Central Avenue in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
yep,
And they've been serving the indigenous jewelry community for 80 years. And what you did is you expanded that to an international level. And the thing that I
yeah,
find amazing, that I think is important for people to realize, is Rio Grande is different than a lot of other places. We're not, yeah, we're going to sell you tools, we're going to sell you
hmm,
materials. I wouldn't have the career I have if it wasn't for Rio Grande,
yeah,
because I had this opportunity. I could walk in and I ask you questions, I ask Sesson questions, I ask Ronnie questions, all these people that have been on the tech team, Eddie Bell, it was a laundry list of people who helped me. And that's what Rio Grande has continued to perpetuate.
yeah,
And having you as the education person and facilitating that, you really are the point of the spear in doing that, because you work with schools and everything. And this experience that happened in Bhutan, is that my
Bhutan.
thing? Bhutan. To me, it's just like this. It's
It's a cultural exchange.
it's a cultural exchange, but it's like what Rio Grande is rooted in,
Yeah,
but on steroids.
yeah,
It's like it's going to this whole new level,
yeah,
but it's still remaining true to its roots.
right.
And choosing Jacob, his work is just,
It's impeccable.
I mean, I challenge people sometimes, if you look him up on Instagram, we'll post a link to his Instagram. In
Or if
fact,
he's watching, throw it in the chat, Jacob.
yeah, if you're watching, throw it in the chat. But you would think that a machine did it.
Oh yeah,
His work is so precise, and he makes so many of his tools himself.
yep,
So for you to choose to send this person over there is like, those students that he had, they're getting a leapfrog jump ahead
yeah.
in knowledge that some people will spend decades working on
Jacob,
and never.
Jacob just I called him. Yeah, he called me yesterday, and he said these students were so amazing. He says, there was that whole years long periods where he was trying to learn the craft from his
Yeah,
dad, right? And he said they got to a point so fast, they had it
right.
like that.
Well, and
They
that
were just
shows you how
naturally
eager they
gifted.
are.
I know, super eager, naturally gifted people. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that during the podcast too.
Well, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we get him in here live. Everybody who was involved, and do a just a specific podcast and recording that covers the 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 whole thing
Yeah.
from every perspective. Because
So I'm going to say this too, real quick, is that the school has a website,
okay,
and it's called thebhutanschool.org, and that's BHUTANSCHOOL.org. And so Michael McRae and his group of people put together this website so they could help raise funds. What they're trying to do is actually build a building in Bhutan for this jewelry program specifically, because right now they share a building, and every time when Michael goes out, Searing, who stays there, has to build the classroom. They have the classes, and then they break it down and store it. And so they're really hoping to build a school. And please go to that website. It's going to tell you more about the program, and there is a place to donate, and it's really fantastic.
and related to that, the book, if you guys are looking for it on our website, is The Art of Stamping.
Yep.
The title of the book is The Art of Stamping. So if you want to follow up with that and everything, we're getting some questions, Mark. So we're gonna have to do what we're originally
All right.
intended
All right. Whatever.
intended to do. But But if you guys have questions about anything, get them into us. And I really look forward to getting everybody in here
Yeah.
and having a more extensive conversation. But I want to thank you for making this happen,
Oh, thank you, man.
because this is a perfect example of why I wanted to come to work at Rio Grande, because this has always been something that was happening. And it's people like you that make that happen. And I hope the people that are watching this understand that, you know, we're a company,
Yeah.
but we're a company made up of people that are passionate
Very
about
passionate.
things. And Mark is passionate about education. He's passionate about jewelry. He's passionate about all kinds of other things as
Connecting
well.
people. Connecting
Yeah.
people.
And but before we start answering questions, I want you to talk a little bit about, because I recently sent a professor from ASU your way.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us what the Rio for Schools did I get that right? The Rio for Schools
Real for
program.
Schools program.
Explain what that is a little bit so we have it captured so that anybody can reference it later. Because if you're in education, as an educator or as a student, Rio for Schools applies to you. So give us a little background on what that is.
All right. So Real for Schools, there's a long history there, but Real for Schools is our program to help educators and students. And if you teach pretty much any kind of form of jewelry making or related to jewelry making, you're probably more than likely qualify. On our website, if you search Rio for Schools, it'll take you to the instructor or institution sign up page. And we're just going to ask a couple of brief questions, and you submit the form. It comes to me, and I just look it over, verify everything's good, and I'll enroll you in the program. If you're an instructor or institution, like a school, we're going to give you special pricing, special perks on shipping and things like that. It's all outlined on that page. And what we'll do is create a code for you to give to your students. And what you do with when the student does is input that code into their account online, and they're going to get the student benefits. And it's been working out really well last couple of years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, the student benefits are they get a period of time where they get Rio Pro pricing and things, correct?
It's similar to that. So
Okay.
it lasts for 6 months, and it can be renewed. So a lot of students are, in school for years. So you can reuse that code and get 6 months at a time of wholesale access.
That's
special
what I'm getting
pricing.
at. You get wholesale access, which means you have the ability to buy things that not everyone can buy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which as a student is a great benefit.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to be able to get stuff that otherwise is not available.
Right. Exactly. So, and if you have any questions about the Rio for Schools program, you can email me at rio4schools@riogrande.com.
And with that, we're going to get into our first question. So on Instagram, Southbound Smith asks, anything to prevent copper coating on 14 karat yellow gold? After making multiple solder joints, the metal starts to turn copper color even after pickling. I use a Smith acetylene torch. What do you think?
Barrier flux.
Right? Barrier flux? Yeah?
So like alcohol and boric acid or cuprinol
or cuprinol, right. We sell the cuprinol. We sell the boric acid. Firescale works good too. Those would be the things that you could try and see if that works for you, Southbound Smith. And then I've got a question here from YouTube. This is from Ronaldo Cruz. And he says, hi, I'm new to making jewelry. I'm looking to make a golden Cuban chain. How do I go about applying orange flakes, shellac, in order to stick for filing and removing afterwards? There's not a lot of info.
I've never used orange flake shellac. Have you?
I haven't either. I've used some shellacs, like a black shellac from Japan.
Yeah.
And I heated it up is how I make it stick. And then I heated it up to break it loose.
Right.
And then I used, I think I used either acetone or denatured alcohol to clean it off. But I've never used the orange flake.
I think it's the same stuff.
Ronaldo.
Heating it up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, and I've never made a Cuban chain.
Yeah, neither.
I want to make that clear.
Right.
I've never, although it is not, that and a grill are actually on my list of things that I'd like to.
Some things you got to do just to do them,
That way I can just say, yeah, I did that.
Yep.
Been there, done that. But So there's that one. And I have another question from BK Henry. And BK on Instagram wants to know, how do you get rid of Firescale on gold fill? I'm going to make a very unpopular statement. I do not like gold fill.
It's the devil's metal.
A lot of people use it because it's inexpensive,
It
but
is.
you have to be very technically
Yeah.
savvy to use gold fill. And I'm going to be 100% honest. In my experience with gold fill, once you have the fire scale,
It's
you're
there.
not getting rid of it.
No.
Because in order to get rid of the fire scale, you're going to get rid of the gold.
Yeah.
It's a no-win situation. And so
I'm right there with you, man.
yeah, I don't know of a way to get rid of fire scale on gold fill.
Plate it.
Well, that's what most companies
Yeah.
that use gold fill do.
Yeah.
That's how they cover the solder joints. That's how they get rid of the inconsistencies, is they
Yeah.
plate over it. But no, I don't know of any other way to do that. But I want to remind people, for the remainder of the month of April, Lindstrom 1, to get yourself 10% off anything Lindstrom. And you were mentioning to me before that, like a lot of the companies that we represent in Cary, Lindstrom has actually helped out a local high school.
Yeah, Lindstrom, we have a really great local high school program, and she was looking for pliers, and I knew that Lindstrom was very passionate also about helping students,
Right.
and they were able to get the teacher a whole classroom set of pliers and cutters. So
And
it's really cool.
and the Lindstrom ones, in my experience, have been very good because they're very precise.
Oh, yeah.
And they tend to be on the smaller side for people with smaller hands, and they're ergonomically designed and everything. So if you're looking for good pliers or good cutters, Lindstrom is definitely a good way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
But get your questions in. If you have any additional questions, we encourage you to ask your questions now. If you don't get them in before we're done, then we'll circle back around and answer them in a future episode, or we will respond to them via our social media person, Shania. Shout out to Shania. She answers a lot of those questions. But I also want to remind people that you can watch all of our past episodes. The visuals, you can watch those on YouTube. They're all on YouTube. And if all you want is the audio from these Tech Team Lives, you can go to For the Love of Jewelers podcast. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can listen to For the Love of Jewelers there.
Yep.
So if you want to look at the old video, go to YouTube. And if you just want to hear the audio, go to For the Love of Jewelers anywhere you watch podcasts. We're getting to the end here.
All right.
I really, really want to get Jacob in here, and
Yeah.
and who was the other person that was involved?
Michael McCrae.
Michael McCrae.
Yeah.
And sit them down and talk about the whole experience and everything, because
It's
It-
an important story to tell.
it's not just important. I think the advantage we have living in the world we do today is it's gotten so much smaller.
Yeah.
But this place that Jacob went to is an example of how we have these locations that are still, for one, they're isolated,
Yeah.
but there's communities of people that are trying to find ways to express themselves artistically,
Yeah.
and at the same time create vocations for their people.
Yeah.
And jewelry is one of the few art forms that really does have a cost benefit. Like, jewelry is something that
You can make
that
money
sells.
from.
Yeah. And it's really cool that you did that. We've got another question here from Instagram. It's from Jesse's Jewelry. And they want to know, what torch do you recommend for a beginner, teacher?
My favorite torch is still the Smith Acetylene Air Torch. That's the
Mine
first
too.
torch I picked up. It's easy to maintain,
Right.
easy to light, turn off, and it handles just about any kind of job you can throw at it.
Just about anything.
If you have to, you can always start with a butane torch.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are doing that. A lot of times you might need two of them.
Well,
to get a
in
job
the
done.
soldering classes you used to do here, you used butane torches a lot.
Yeah, we actually brought in Joel Silvera,
Hmm.
who wrote the book on
Yeah.
butane torches, and he taught a class on that. And they're really great little tools.
Yeah. Well, we've got more questions coming in. So as long as you ask your questions, we're going to stay here and answer them. So the next question I have, I don't know where. Oh, it came from Instagram, from Lunic Jewelry. Lunic Jewelry would like to know. I would like to order an economic welder for welding spring rings, small rings on bracelets, etc. Can you recommend me anything?
That's you on you. I,
Absolutely. Orion.
yeah,
Orion or Puck. Either of those micro TIG welders that we sell will do the job. We've got them in all different price points. Depending on the maximum gauge you want to be able to weld, that's going to determine which welder is going to be ideal for you. But for the most part, that's the way to go. I have an Orion 150S is what I use,
okay.
and I use it a lot for that. I've got questions coming in from Mary Ann Couchy. I apologize if I mispronounced that. She would like to know, which stone should you not put in any ultrasonic?
There's a bunch
Most of
them.
them.
Yeah,
Most of
there's
them.
charts for that. I think we have a chart on our website, don't we? Like in
Yeah.
the Knowledge Hub.
Yes, in the Knowledge Hub.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the easy answer is most of them.
yeah.
It's I always tell people, if it's not a diamond, a sapphire, or a ruby,
You're risking it.
yeah, you're you're playing with fire or risking breakage. I've got another question from Deb Macon. Do you carry and sell Jacob stamps?
Jacob doesn't sell.
No, Jacob doesn't sell them. Does he teach classes? Do you know? No.
No,
So
this is the first time he's
this is
taught.
the first time he's taught. He
First
might.
time he taught. First time he went to a different country.
Wow.
First time his trip took 2 days. So there's a lot of firsts
Yeah, and I imagine he ate a lot of things he never ate before too.
and loved it.
I want to. That's why I want to get him in here. I want to
Right.
ask all
All
those
these
questions.
questions.
I want to. What did you eat? Where did you sleep? You know,
Yeah.
because I've seen his pictures on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But we've got another question from Baba Ifalde. I hope that's correct. They want to know, what do you recommend as a good brass solder that doesn't show up easily? I want to hear your answer to this, Mark.
Okay. Honestly, I think it's silver.
10 karat gold.
Oh.
That's what I recommend.
Yeah.
I tell people 10 karat
It's almost
gold
the perfect
solder.
color match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 karat gold solder. It's a little pricey, but if you want a color match,
Yeah. And easy to work
Yes.
with. Because some of those other ones that are like
Yeah.
the wire solders and things like that, they're difficult to work with.
yeah, the copper based ones,
Yeah.
they just irritate me to no end.
But that gold solder, super easy.
Yeah.
Perfect color match.
Yep.
Yep.
It's going to cost you a little, but if you want a color match, that's the way to go on that one. I'm going to give you guys one more chance to get some more questions in before we, because we're getting close to our time here. I really look forward to hearing Jacob tell us about his
Me
trip.
too. Me too.
That's I know I'm a broken record, but I've seen the pictures and I've read some of his accounts that he's posted on social
Yeah.
media. And
One was very particular, where he went to the temple.
and he met the king.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and did it? He made the king and the queen bracelets.
yeah,
And I got to videotape the process and watch him make the billets. And he poured out his own scrap, made the ingots.
I want us to be able to make a video that has all of that in
Yeah.
it so that people can see that whole thing, because he also did he take the silver? Did we provide that?
We provided it. Yeah.
Okay, because all the students got to make a ring and keep it.
And that was the very first.
And that blew them away.
Yeah.
That was like giving them a cloud
Yeah.
from the sky or something.
Well, because they're part of a government program, they couldn't keep anything they made.
Right.
So Michael and I said, this is different this time. We're going to send metal from us
Yeah.
that they can keep and make something. And we got some pictures back of them just covered in bracelets
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
rings.
And his photography
That's
is
Michael,
next
yeah.
level. I mean, he's as good a photographer as he is a jeweler,
Yeah.
because he's got landscape pictures and everything. It just blows my mind. It's
Did Jacob put his ID in there?
Jacob hasn't signed in that I know of,
Okay. Let me give
but
it. Can I say it?
give us
All
his
right.
Instagram or what.
So this is Jacob's Instagram. It's jacob.d.morgan, and it's JACOB.d.morgan, MORGAN.
Okay.
So
I hope you all got that. Jacob, if you're on, please post any way anybody can contact you on social media so that they can see some of this stuff and everything. And if you are on, I can't wait until
Yeah.
you recover from your jet lag and you can get in here
Yeah.
and we can talk about all this. But with that, I want to remind everybody, you can watch our previous episodes on YouTube. You can listen to them anywhere you get podcasts at For the Love of Jewelers. Lindstrom 1 to get 10% off Lindstrom products until the end of April. Mark, I look forward to talking to you again sometime. You're a wealth of knowledge, and
Thank you, man.
you've always been an inspiration to me, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
for
me.
making Tech Team Tuesday live and fun.
All right. Cool.
All right.